And welcome everybody to this new video. As you can see, it's been a while, considering that I'm running a completely new ship. That is mainly because this is also a new captain. This is Captain Carmilla, a liberated Borg humanoid. As you can see, she's pretty much decked out as strong as she can get. On my previous character, last time we saw, I was flying a Tier 6 light exploration cruiser, which I'll, for reference, quickly pull out here. Here it is. I was running it on the normal paint scheme, whereas this is the Section 31 Vanity Shield paint, which is a beautiful black. Now, but this is no longer the ship I roll with. It's recently, as I've decided to run either the ISS Relentless, which you just saw, or the ISS Styria. A Terran Dreadnought cruiser. Now, to be honest, it is absolutely laughable that this is a cruiser. Even though it's a Dreadnought cruiser. The simple fact is, this thing carries frigates. It can launch 2 of them, and with the skills equipped, I can launch extra craft, even though this isn't the optimized build anymore because I haven't used this ship. Now, this ship has a lot more weapons than the Relentless does, but considering that's my main ship, let's switch over to it. Those 2 ghostly images of smaller ships you saw, those were not a mistake. Those usually do come with the ship, but only if it is in combat. Now, the ISS Relentless is a Jem'Hadar Vanguard carrier Tier 6X. What does Tier X mean? It is a upgraded version which gives me an extra trade slot down here. So instead of the standard 4, I can run a 5th trade. It gives me an extra device slot, which necessarily doesn't really matter, but for sake of argument I will equip some of them. It gives me a universal slot, if I remember correctly. And that's about it. It doesn't... Upgrading your ship to Tier 6X, besides the trait, which is extremely useful, it doesn't really modify the ship that much. Now, let's go over the traits here, starting at the top. Accurate. Increase ship's accurate rating by 10. Simple, straightforward. Increasing damage resistance by 40 divided by the number of foes targeting me. Fair enough. Adaptive offense. Gain 2.7% critical chance, which we'll see in the stats later on. That has already been calculated in First Force More. Critical striking, a 0.9 critical chance becomes a 3% crit severity for 10 seconds. Maximum 9% crit severity, so this can only stack 3 times. Beam Barrage. That is because this ship's primary weapons is beam weapons, so all beams gain a 2% beam damage bonus for 30 seconds, which stacks 3 times, so For 90 seconds, all beam weapons do 2% more damage. Beam weapon training, another extra 5% beam weapon. This is just straight up a bonus. Bowcat technician, 10% maximum hull increase. Always good for if you're the type to get into the middle of the fight. Hull regeneration, 15% increase. These stats are all in combat, by the way. No mercy, no retreat. Minus 25% damage resistance against anything in my rear arc. But plus 25 damage resistance against anything outside my rear arc. Pattern recognition. For every 15 seconds in combat, maximum amount of force attacks plus 1.5%, 1.5 defense rating and plus 1.5% shield hardness, which make it tougher to punch through my shields. That's the standard space traits for my character. Now, for the starship traits, we're gonna get a little bit more interesting. After receiving 10,000 cumulative damage, gain a single stack of Honored Dead, which adds 10 plus 10 to all damage resistance ratings. So this won't be factored in to the stats that we're going to go over in a moment. The rating and plus 1% health regeneration. Maximum 20 stacks, infinite duration. While at 20 stacks, subsequent activations instead grant 10,000 temporary hit points for 40 seconds. While not in combat, you lose a stack of Honored Dead every 2 seconds, unless I'm cloaked. This ship doesn't cloak yet. Layered shielding. Gains 6,000 points of secondary shields for 30 seconds. Pretty straightforward. Using a single bridge officer control ability, which is all of these, deals 71.1 physical damage to the enemy for 60 seconds. Damage spread once nearby enemies after 10 seconds and resets duration, 45 second cooldown. So once I trigger this ability, for example, that ability would activate and then I can't use it for another 45 seconds. Turn goodbye. When you defeat a foe, plus 25%, plus 25 accuracy rating for 20 seconds, plus 5% crit chance for 20 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. And in the Relentless Ship trait, when this trait is activated, your weapons gain a massive crit severity versus foe at low health. So I have a crit severity of plus 175% against foes that are below 20%. Now, oh, didn't mean to click that. Now, the stats. 120,000 hull, I repair it at a rate of 328% per minute. 21,000 hull, which I repair at 855 points. Right. These are all the damage resistances, so any damage I take from that specific damage type is reduced by that percentage. Accuracy rating of 37, which doesn't really matter, and I'm going to explain why in a moment. Just going to go away. Crit chance of 15%, so 1 in about every 9 shots will be a critical hit, and the critical damage will be 109% of the normal damage. These are very important because this has more to do with how effective these skills are. Flight speed 34.76, relative good. Very slow turning rate, but that's obvious. Now, as this is a carrier, Bring it in a few more seconds. Now, this is the carrier's standard complement. 6 frigate or 6 fighter squadrons and 2 frigates. Now, those 2 ghostly frigates you saw when this one warped in are not counted towards the total of these 2. So, once in combat, the ship will be supported by 4 frigates and 6 fighter squadrons. And what I deem to be a cruiser. Now, there we go. Of course, I have this ability here, which spawns another 3 strike escorts, which is a class below frigate. And while that all is active, I could, technically speaking, activate sentry mode, which makes my entire ship immobile, but spawns in 10 sentry ships surrounding me, which all have the same range as my ship does, which is 10 kilometers, but they're spaced 2 kilometers around my ship. So, technically speaking, extending my range by 2 kilometers. And then I can spawn the Kobayashi Maru to apply the random buffs to my ship for 30 seconds. Now, that all is all great and good and all. Let's see, I believe, yes, this is the one we played last time. So we queue, or at least I believe this is the one we played 3 years ago. So we will queue up for it, and then I will demonstrate what the Relentless can actually do in combat. No. Oh. So these fighters won't spawn in because they were spawned outside of combat, but because of the low cooldown rates, that doesn't necessarily matter. Now,
there are 2 active orb transwarp conduits in this system, along with a stable spatial rift, which is
now I skipped through that because then I can actually see my full screen. This is a multiplayer mission, so let's see, we have a carrier, we have some smaller ships. "30 seconds before the mission begins," so we have enough time to get all our fighters out of the way. This is going to be a real easy mission considering we have another carrier with us. Now that all our fighters are out, I will trigger this ability and level up my fighters, which gives them more health and makes them do more damage. Engines to full. Now I'm gonna leave them to take care of this, so my people and I can get in position.
Yeah, they're headed for the time vortex. Stop them!
Swan frigate. Let's bring that one back. All these purple streaks and bolts are the supporting ships. Let's level our support ships up again. My frigate has died, so I'm going to redock it so we can deploy in 2 minutes.
Fourth troops are approaching the time vortex.
We are all surrender your vessel and prepare for assimilation.
Now the reason why I'm circling it is because the beam arrays have a 250-degree firing arc, which means that the ones in my rear arc can also shoot to the side, which means the side arc of this array is actually the most dangerous. Of course, being harassed by all of these secondary ships makes anywhere being anywhere near this is dangerous.
Resistance.
Got some low support on it. Let's stop these probes from reaching that wormhole. Still busy with that.
Your defensive capabilities are unable to withstand us. Lower your shields and await assimilation.
Now, the downside of these support craft is that if you go too quick, they do despawn. Oh, they will think that before we're done, so I'm going to redock those.
We're picking up some strange readings. Something is deep. I know the wrong.
help, but
surrender your vessel and prepare for assimilation.
no, I'm going to fly right down the barrel of this signal. Either me or my hangar past significant damage. Goes again, cloaking.
The Scimitar has been destroyed, but sensors detected several escape pods entering the vortex. The Scimitar has been destroyed.
And there we go, ladies and gents. Now I will leave you to make your own conclusions about how more effective the Relentless is in comparison to the old Ravager. But I nevertheless hope you all enjoyed this video, and I wish you all a great day, and I will see you in the next one. See ya!